What you talking about, Walt Diddy? The curse of creativity. Could it be a curse of creativity?
I cannot lose, I'll be winning. I cannot lose if I'm winning. I do not lose, I'll be winning. How can I lose when I'm winning?
When we think of creative people, you may think of Einstein. Some of you think of the tech gurus such as Zuckerberg. You think about maybe Bill Gates. Your favorite athlete, Michael Jordan. Could that be it?
You hear very frequently people say things like everyone's creative. It's like, that's wrong, okay? It's wrong. It's just as wrong as saying that everyone's extroverted. First of all, you have to be pretty damn smart to be creative, because otherwise you're just going to get to where other people have already got, and that's not creative by definition. So being fast and being out there at the front of things really makes a difference. And then you also have to have these divergent thinking capabilities, and that's part of your trait structure. And creative people are really different than non-creative people.
Well, we all agree that creative people is just a little bit different from those that are a little bit lackadaisical and go with the flow. To be creative, you must have vision. You do not mind being embarrassed. StreamYard and a lot of tools that we use has made the entire world think they're so creative because I can take a picture and instantly load it. Let's continue with Jordan Peterson, and we'll be back in just a moment.
You know, partly because, for example, they're highly motivated to do creative things and to experience novelty and to chase down aesthetic experiences and to attend movies and to read fiction and to go to museums and to enjoy poetry and to enjoy music that's not conventional music, for example. These aren't trivial differences. And so it's a real misstatement to make the proposition that everyone's creative.
Now, I hope that we're all in agreement so far that it would be a misstatement to say everyone is creative. Everyone regurgitates, but to create, have the vision, put in the work, map it out, trial, error, embarrassment, failure is creativity. So if you disagree, make sure you like, share, subscribe, first of all, and you can let me know down in the comments.
It's just simply not the case. It's a matter of wishful thinking. It's like saying that everyone's intelligent. It's like, well, if everyone's intelligent, then the term loses all of its meaning, because any term that you can apply to every member of a category has absolutely no meaning. Now, that doesn't, and you know, the other thing you want to be thinking about here is that don't be thinking that creativity is such a good thing. It's a high risk, high return strategy.
Here is the meat and potatoes of this conversation. Okay, I'm creative, I'm Jordan, greatest in the world. All we see is the great highlights. Rarely do you see those days when they got blew out, and there's times that they did, and things of that nature. Rarely do we see all the failures, unless you dig that Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and the people that you praise. You millennials and zillennials have no idea. When I first heard of Jay-Z, he had gold teeth and was under a guy like Big Daddy Kane. That's what actually brought him in. Look it up, Big Daddy Kane video, him, and ODB from Wu-Tang. That's another video. Let's continue.
So if you're creative, you just try this. There's creative people in this room, man. You guys are going to have a hell of a time monetizing your creativity. It's virtually impossible. It's really, really difficult because, first of all, let's say you make an original product. You think the world will beat a pathway to your door if you build a better mousetrap. It's like, that's complete rubbish. It isn't true in the least. If you make a good creative product, you've probably solved about 5% of your problem. Because then you have marketing, which is insanely difficult, and then you have sales, and then you have customer support, and then you have to build an organization, and you have to, if it's really novel, you have to tell people what the hell the thing is. You know, we built this future authoring program, right? And it's available for people online. So how do you market that?
I'm going to ask for fair use for educational purposes. This is Jordan Peterson. He owns these works, my man from Canada. Oh, Jordan, don't mind. We talk about these things. So far, what do we know about creativity? Most of the most creative people hardly get to monetize their works. As you can see behind me, this is thousands of dollars of equipment. I don't know if you can heard that. There's hard drives, computers, MacBooks, everything, lights, camera, action. Rarely do the most creative get to monetize. Now, this is not a bash. This is just an absolute observation, and I think a lot of us would agree on. The most popular YouTube shows don't have the best production. Whether it's audio, it does not matter. Due to society, no matter what times we're in, but we're going to talk about these times, if you don't spew out venom, controversy, and a lot of, dare I say, just throwing sex all in your face, it's going to be harder to monetize your content. No matter if you're a writer, dancer, architect, it does not matter. Most creative people at one point or a time or another, suffer from depression. Most creative people, if that creativity is not embraced and that energy gets to go out and serve its purpose, go mentally insane. And we're going to talk about some of those reasons as soon as Jordan finishes up. Pay close attention and like, share, subscribe. Share if you have not. YouTube, if you hit that like button, it forces the algorithm to ensure more people get to see this content. And we're kind of sluggish with our algorithm over here, but we're working on it.
No one knows what that is, and that's a real problem. If you write a book, well, then you have the problem that another million people have also written a book. But if you produce something that's completely new and doesn't have a category, people can't search for it online. How are they going to find it? So you just have, and then you have pricing problems, and it's really unbelievably difficult to produce something creative and then monetize it. And even worse, if you're the creative person, let's say you have a spectacular invention, you've got no money, right? You've got no customers. Those are big problems. And so maybe you go and you find a venture capitalist. We start with family and friends because that's how it works. You raise money for your product. You raise money from your family and friends. That's assuming you have family and friends that have some money and that they're going to give it to you. And most people aren't in that situation. So it's a terrible barrier right off the bat. And then, of course, you're putting your family and friends at substantial financial risk because the probability that your stupid idea is going to make money is virtually zero, even if it's a really brilliant idea. And so then let's say, well, you get past family and friends and you get venture capitalists involved because that's often the next step, or an angel investor. There's steps in building a business. Family and friends, angel investor, that's some rich guy that you happen to meet, some man or some way who's into this sort of thing and is willing to provide you with some money to get your product off the ground. Well, how much of your product is that person going to take? Well, most of it. And then if you get a venture, and no wonder, because you don't have any money, how are you going to bargain for control over your product? He'll just say, well, do you want the money or not? And if your answer is no, then he'll go and do something else with his money. It's not like there's no shortage of things that you can do with your money. There's a million things you can do with it. So you're not in a great bargaining position. And then if you get venture capitalists involved, they'll take another big chunk, and maybe if they're not very straight with you, they'll just throw you out. Because maybe by that point in the company's development, you're nothing but a pain in the neck, because what do you know about marketing and sales and customer service and building an organization and running a business? Like, you don't have a clue, so why do they need you? So even if you're successful at generating a new idea and you put it into a business, the probability that you, as the originator of the idea, are going to make some money from it is very, very low. So don't be thinking that creativity is something you would want to curse yourself with. And whenever I talk to people who are creative, and you guys should listen to this because I know what I'm talking about. If you happen to be creative, if you're a songwriter or another kind of musician or an artist or any of the other number of things that you might be, find a way to make money and then practice your craft on the side, because you'll starve to death otherwise. Now, for some of you that won't be true, but it's a tiny minority. Your best bet is to find a job that will keep body and soul together and parse off some time that you can pursue your creative thing, because then, well, as a long-term strategy, a medium to long-term strategy, it's a better one. But it's got incredibly difficult for people, musicians, for example, it's incredibly difficult for new musicians to monetize their...
So why did I even bring this to my channel, to the audience, whether you're live right now, if you're looking in the replay, so you don't get discouraged and have these mental hang-ups. If you're creative, you create to create. If you do not make friends with that portion of your creativity, you will suffer badly, because I went through it. Been making this content, whether it's music videos or whatnot, for about 10 years. So if you're an artist and you share your art with people, know that people are gonna look at it subjectively. And more than often than not, if they have any hiccups, any self-conscious things, they're just gonna hate on it. And the last thing I'll share with you about kind of avoiding that curse of creativity is to be patient. Be patient. Set your goals, do as much as you can, when you can, without wearing yourself down. Do not quit your job unless you're making your salary doing what you're doing. Right? And if you're doing that still, look at your geographical location. But patience. Have the faith to call forth the things that be not as though they were. Thou canst believe all things is possible. Possible. Now, it never tells you this is a guarantee. It's possible. Just tell yourself, as Les Brown would say, it's possible. So I'm going to leave you with this, and we're going to get out of here. When I was 9 years old, my father left the home, went to work, and never returned. But before then, he used to look me in these eyes every day, did not miss a day before then, and he would say, Walter, you can do anything you want to do if you put your mind to it. As you can see, I put my mind to making this content. I put my mind to being the encourager, not a discourager. How about you put your mind into knowing that you're worthy? Put your mind to knowing that your creativity is special. You're special. Put your mind into knowing that you're more than enough. And you've been with that screenwriter, director, producer, Walt Diddy. I'm saluting you, and I'm telling you, you're gonna have an amazing weekend because I just spoke life on you. Walt Diddy gone.
How can I lose? I'll be winning. I cannot lose if I'm winning. I do not lose, I'll be winning.